So hi everyone, welcome to our live session. Let's wait for a while so that more viewers will join. And while we are waiting, I would like to thank Aidin for accepting our invitation. Thank you.
Hi,
So how's your
everyone.
mood?
I'm great. Yeah. I'm excited to share my presentation with everyone.
That's nice.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, let's wait
How's,
1 minute
yeah.
and then I will start.
Can I ask what's the program for Youth Council alumni?
Mhm.
What are the upcoming projects, or what is the current agenda for the program?
Yes, actually, we are planning to conduct some project design workshops in order to encourage our alumni to apply for small alumni grants.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we will have some team building activities within C5+1 Youth Council agenda and with our members as well. And we have some annual events like alumni reunion. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it should be conducted
Great.
in spring semester. So yeah,
Oh,
there are lots of activities. So
so
we
I
will
can
share.
participate in a spring semester thing.
Yeah, if you will be
Yeah.
here, of course, because
Yeah.
you're like traveler.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be here at AUCA. So let's see what our audience will ask and be curious about.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I guess we will start. We can start, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And greetings to everyone. Again, let me introduce myself. I'm Adina, an alumni coordinator at C5+1 Youth Council. So before, I used to implement some projects within Youth Council as a member last year, and then became an alumna and started working here. So today we are going to conduct our alumni talks with Aidin Turganbekov on the topic of civic engagement's impact in his career development. And before we will proceed with the presentation, let me briefly tell you about Youth Council. So, in 2016, with the US Embassy in the Kyrgyz Republic collaboration, the American University of Central Asia has created a dynamic C5+1 Youth Council platform that brings together youth from Central Asia and Afghanistan with diverse backgrounds, leadership skills, and mindsets for positive change. Since last January, C5+1 Youth Council has been administered by the American Council for International Education in Kyrgyzstan. And the goal of Youth Council is to increase connectivity and foster leadership skills for um, young student leaders through engagement on issues relevant to Central Asia and Afghanistan. And now I would like to ask Aidin to introduce himself, and you may start your presentation.
All right. Thank you for the introduction. I'm very happy to be part of this alumni talks. I am a proud alumnus of C5+1 Youth Council, so 2021. I've been a part of the Youth Council for 2 years, implementing various projects and being part of the alumni talks because of the COVID-19, obviously. And I'm happy to be here as an alumnus, giving talks about civic engagement. And we've been quite involved in this activity against terrorism or violent extremism in Kyrgyzstan. And I think the agenda of C5+1 Youth Council is actually tremendous for the youth because it covers um, not ordinary topics like youth development, which is actually good, but C5+1 covers actually more important regional topics like business development in Central Asia or water management in Central Asia. So I'm very happy to be part of it and giving talk about civic engagement and how it could be affected in your career development. So by this, let me start my presentation. Yeah, so today I'll be talking about the impact of civic engagement in my life and how it affected my career development. As I said, I'm an alumnus of last year, 21, of Youth Council C5+1. I've been studying at American University of Central Asia for Sociology and Politics, and I'm very interested in the agenda of C5+1 Youth Council in general, or not even Youth Council. All right, the next slide. So I want to stress in this presentation that actually civic engagement, or whatever you're involved in as a leadership, actually plays a significant role in formation of your leadership, of your personality, and eventually of your career. Here in the slide, you can see that I am, as a freshman in 2019, been involved in social leadership clubs, in volunteering, and involving other students and volunteers in our volunteering club at AUCA. And that's why I've traveled to different countries because of that, or I had an opportunity to travel to different countries because of my leadership activity, which complied to my application to those countries. Next slide. And this is, again, the continuation of what I told before, is because I did my cultural exchange program back in 2017, which is called Future Leaders Exchange Program, FLEX in short. I had a lot of opportunities to make cultural presentations, volunteering work with local societies, cultural impact project for my society in Colorado Monument. It's a little town. And that is why I was given opportunity to travel to New York, for example, or Los Angeles, or to DC. That's all because my civic engagement activity. Next. And coming back from that year, I was very actively involved in volunteering, helping to rural societies to develop. For example, in the second picture in the upper part, you can see how we were working in the summer camp in Leylek, which is very rural area in Leylek district in Batken region. Or the lower part is actually in Bishkek. We were doing the fundraising for the oncology center. Or the lower part on the right, which I was in the United States in 2017, helping the people with, to the kids actually with autism and Down syndrome, which was actually a beginning of my work, long-term project, which you can see in the first picture, helping to the children with autism and Down syndrome back in my campus, actually here in the American University of Central Asia. The project that we have been implementing for 2 years in a row, and we're actually continuing and expanding this year to Naren. It's another region in Kyrgyzstan, and we're really happy about that. So, and we're actually happy that a lot of donors are supporting this project, because in Kyrgyzstan, where we have several of rehabilitation centers, but they are not working on physical abilities of children. And we're happy to announce that we're the first beginners of working on the physical abilities, not the mental, complementing to the activities on mental health, or mental activities for children in rehabilitation centers, unfortunately on the city center. So that's why we decided to expand to regions. And the first region is going to be Naren, another district or region in Kyrgyzstan. And our dream actually to expand in all of the regions, so that we would have more inclusive society. We would have more inclusive society in terms of because in Kyrgyzstan, people tend to exclude those people from the society. We don't even have accessible stairs. We don't have anything included for them. That's why we decided to start this initiative. And it's supported first by the Student Initiatives Development Program at AUCA, American University of Central Asia. And now we're actually getting support from the State Department, from the U.S. Embassy of Kyrgyzstan, in Kyrgyzstan. Yeah, next. Yeah, continuing my talk about civic engagement. when I came back from the United States, it was a very exciting time in Bishkek because we wanted to give back what we have learned to our local societies, so that we implemented Flex's Future Leaders Exchange Program, alumni talking clubs in a library. It was very popular project, and it still is, but because of COVID, it was like very limited. But now we're getting back to normal, and we've been leading like charity fundraisings with friends from music academy or music school, because I have a background in music. Or we would lead like charities by selling like balloons or sweets, and by that we would like donate the funds to the center with children by oncology or with other diseases. And the picture in the center, it was actually centering and down. It was like a tree planting event in Kochkor. It's like very rural area in Naran also. And then we were helping by the help of USAID and other partners to American Councils of International Education. I would say within these 3 years, we've been working with different partners, and I'm very thankful, along with other young people who are very dedicated to these initiatives and wanting to help to change the society in Kyrgyzstan. Next slide, please. So yeah, as I said, this is a project for long term. It's called Basketball for All. By calling this Basketball for All, we actually want to emphasize the inclusivity of this project, because basketball is not actually dedicated for people with no disability, but actually with people for everything. We don't have to like limit or divide people by their diseases. So we decided to include all people, all children with autism syndrome and the Down syndrome. At first, we actually started before the beginning of coronavirus and back in 2020, and then we had to stop for a while before it was like normal in Kyrgyzstan, and then we continued in 2021, and now it's our actually fourth season coming up. So meaning that we had like spring, fall, spring, and then now it's like a fourth fall coming up. We by now have about 30 plus children from various social groups. So we're not actually dedicating to people who can afford going to rehabilitation centers, which is quite expensive in Bishkek, the city center of Kyrgyzstan, but also to any family who could reach out to us, and then we actually can include us. So actually by now I want to advertise it. So if you have any families with autism or Down syndrome children, you can actually reach out to us in our Instagram page, Basketball for All, and sign up for the upcoming season. And as I said, we're expanding to Naran. It's another very mountainous rural area in Kyrgyzstan. And the good thing is that we're creating the inclusivity by including school volunteers in Bishkek and American University of Central Asia students, which is the number of which is like 40 plus by now. And we will actually expand. And I think it's good because, as I underlined, our goal is to include all of the regions in Kyrgyzstan. Next. Yeah, and another initiative I've been initiating or involving in is that it's called Leadership KG, Leadership Kyrgyzstan, or Flex Volunteering Clubs at AUCA. These are different volunteering clubs in Bishkek, and the first one is dedicated to school children, high school students in Bishkek, which is the capital of Kyrgyzstan, or the Flex Volunteering Club at AUCA, the American University of Central Asia. If you're studying in one of those, you can apply. And actually, we're now having a recruitment of volunteers. So you can apply, and we've been implementing various social projects based on youth development, alternative education, or mental health, or sex education, or anything else, or helping to vulnerable communities, for example. And it first started when we had a grant from the US Embassy in Kyrgyzstan. And we've been doing these trainings on leadership in Cholponata, in Osh, in Bishkek, which are 3 different regions in Kyrgyzstan, so-called empowering youth and giving them enough knowledge to continue this education to other their peers or to their younger youth to continue this leadership activities in their own hometowns. So far, it has been working because Leadership KG and Volunteering Club started back in 2019, and it's been 3 years. It's very sustainable. We're making sure to have leaders who could actually unite others and then have the projects done based on their interests, because we care about the interests of the youth, not just pushing our agenda. And we are, as I said, recruiting new volunteers. So please apply if you're the student of the American University of Central Asia or other university or the high school student. Yes. And as I said, the topic of my presentation is the impact of civic engagement to my career development. And I'm happy to share that within these 3 full years at university, I have had a lot of opportunities to be involved in various organizations and activities to develop my leadership skills, develop my professional skills, including the American Council for International Education, which I have worked for 3 years, Bir Duino Human Rights Organization, which I have worked and helped assistant with the International Human Rights Festival. And I also study sociology, which is very important. And I was involved in Go Viral initiative, which helps for the Central Asian regional initiative in business, culture, media, and everything else. And I think the vital point is that I started working for my second year at the National Democratic Institute, which is an international organization stressing and underlining the importance of local societies in pushing their agenda to government. And because of this, I was involved in my various exchanges, including the BARD Globalization and International Affairs in New York City and American University of Armenia, where I studied with master's students because of my knowledge, I guess, and because of my experience in leadership. And actually, last month, I was involved in Charles University's program called the Program for the American Funds, American Studies program, and various other initiatives which were involved in my activities or the background, including, of course, C5+1 Youth Council. So I'm very grateful and want to underline to our audience that whatever you do, you have to know your priorities, your big goal, and then go be involved in civic engagement or leadership and identify your goals based on that to your career. Yeah, as I said, I want to push my questions to the audience, including these several. Think about your dream, think about your personal values. What are your personal values? Which issue in the world are you the most passionate about, and what can you do or what have you done already about it? And do you have people who are sharing your view to the solution of the problem, which is very important, because you by yourself among the world who has more than 7 billion people would be hard. So please find people who are thinking the same with you in solving this issue. And the main thing is this: are you sure that your solution is the solution to the problem? Because oftentimes people do not know if this is actually a solution. They're actually pushing their agenda. So please make the needs-based assessment, which you can find in Google, I bet. And then think about which resources you need, including the people. These are the main questions I want to take into your account. And I guess that's it, right? Yeah, if you want to contact me, you can contact me either through email or Instagram. We identified everything here. And if you have any questions, please ask it below in the chat or yeah. How does it work, Adina?
Yes, thank you, Aidin. We will write in the comment section your contacts in order to make our audience to find you. So thank you for your engaging and kind of motivational presentation. It was really nice to hear all of these thoughts, your like experience, and I also liked your question about finding your personal values. Yes, because it's all about finding our way through experiencing in such kind of projects, programs, and sometimes interests might change, but your values should stay, I guess. And before we will proceed with Q&A session, let me remind you about Youth Council. So the C5+1 Youth Council is a diverse group of youth from Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Afghanistan. And every year, new C5+1 Youth Council members from Central Asian countries and Afghanistan are selected among students representing their local universities in Kyrgyzstan based on open competition, which includes application review and interviews, gender balance, diversity, and genuine interest in YC objectives. So currently, the C5+1 Youth Council network consists of 96 alumni and 67 YC members. So the C5+1 YC reinforces the US and Central Asia joint goals of the countering wild extremism, Central Asia business competitiveness, the C5+1 transport corridor development, C5+1 Power the Future project, and supporting national and regional adaptation planning. So that was it about Youth Council, and now we can proceed with Q&A session. So, dear audience, please feel free to ask your questions. And first of all, there is a question.
All right.
Yeah. So, why is it essential for students to develop civic engagement projects in their communities? And what does it mean to be civically engaged? I guess you already mentioned, but you can reply directly.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for your question, whoever it is. Um, I think my main message was to, first of all, to identify your personal values, as I deny actually underlined, because you cannot do civic engagement projects just to do them, or just to do them to get a great job or to be stressed for your activities. Because if you are doing it, you have a long-term goal, and that's the main thing you want to think about. Because if you have this long-term goal of being like civic engagement activists in the future, and like the spheres, for example, the youth development or gender equality or supporting the vulnerable communities in your local community, that would be the point, and that would be the helping point for you to apply for programs, apply for your master's programs, or to just generally go on in your future. And I'm not saying it from the point of like just counting, oh, like if I do this, I can go to master successfully. You really need to be passionate about what you're doing, and you really need to know why you're doing it. That's the main thing you want to ask when you start doing it. It's okay if you start doing various things, because everyone has been doing it, I think. Okay, I do not want to generalize, but like if you start and then doing like various things, you might want to think which one is the most important for you, or which one am I the most passionate about. That's the question you want to ask the most first, and then you go further. Is it helping me in the future? Not in the point of thinking like is it helping me to go to my master's, or like, is it helping me to improve the society or the social group or something else? So it needs to be coming actually from your heart, from your desires, from your passion. And then I guess that actually means to be civically engaged, being passionate about solving the problem. Of course, as an individual or as a small social group in a privileged university, you might not be able to solve the whole problem, but this might be actually the chance to start doing the change that you want to do in your society.
Thank you, Aidin.
Yeah.
So here are the next question um, from my pity.
All right. Should I read it? Thank you, Aidin, for sharing your experience. In your opinion, is it more about luck or effort, hard work to be successful in civic engagement? Um, Thank you, Aipiri, for your question. I think it could be, let's not go into details of the social reality, but I would say it actually depends whether you're lucky or not, because you might be from the community which is vulnerable and you want to change the society, and it might be less effective. But it could be that if you work harder and if you vocalize your thoughts or your opinion, it could be actually the point of your civic engagement. It's not like, I wouldn't divide it actually like if you're lucky or like if you're hardworking, but whatever you do in your society, and if you include the partners, including the media, which is very important, or the social media, which is very more than important in our 21st century reality, it could be changing in your civic engagement activities. So it's very tricky question, but thank you, Aipiri. I cannot hear you.
I'm sorry. So the next question is, what kind of challenges is civic education still facing today?
So it's said, I cannot generalize. Like civic education could be in Kyrgyzstan. Civic
Mm-hmm.
education could be in my university, in my village, which is Maevka, 1 hour away from university, or it could be like in America. So, in terms of speaking of civic education in Kyrgyzstan, I would say that it's strengthening. I'm not an expert, but I'm seeing how civil society is strengthening because of the antagonistic movement of the government. But this, it's another topic. I don't want to be concentrated on this, but I think the challenges the civic education in Kyrgyzstan facing is that not believing that civil society could improve the situation in Kyrgyzstan first, and the second is the barriers that are facing not having the governmental partners. I would be short in this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how does civic engagement help us to improve our transferable skills, like soft skills?
That actually plays a great role, including like whatever job you're doing, because soft skills are now in 21st century more important than the hard skills, because hard skills you can learn in university, in other like short-term courses or anywhere, but soft skills, including the communication, the negotiation, or being flexible with whatever partners you're working with, could be a great asset for you, because sometimes you might be faced with a person who is not actually binding to your offer to lead a project. For example, with our basketball football project, we couldn't find for a long time a partner where we could lead our sessions. And then we actually stopped in one place because they were more or less positive about our idea. So this is all about how you articulate, how you communicate, and how you express your thoughts about your change in the community. So it's very important that you develop and deliver the idea of your change in the community, or how you're going to not maybe change, but maybe how you're going to help the community and how it is emotionally appealing to the partners. So it's soft skills could be broad, but actually developing the soft skills could be very vital not could be, like, is very vital to the project development or the civic engagement activity you are doing in your local society.
Yeah, agree. And here is the question about your experience in recent TFAS program.
Um, so
So,
telling, thank you for the question. Telling shortly about the program, it's called the Fund for American Studies, and it's a summer program, and it has various programs in DC, in Santiago, in other cities in the Asian continent. But I was in Prague, Czech Republic, and we learned about political science, political philosophy, political economy, conflict development, conflict management, which was very vital according to the 21st century conflicts. And I was lucky to be part of this program based on the full scholarship. And I want to underline that your civic engagement activities are helping you to get these full scholarships. I was there in Prague for 3 weeks for free, and I was learning about this ongoing conflicts or the theories which we could use in solving these problems, where Youth Council C5+1 has an fitting agenda for this. And this was a great experience to have 80 plus participants from all over the world, including Nepal or Latin America or the people from the United States or Eastern Europe, which has a very unique history in conflict management with all of the leading actors in the world, I would say. And it has been a tremendous experience for me as a person who studies political studies and sociology. And I would urge you to apply, and first of all to do the civic engagement, because before applying there you need to have some kind of background, and civic engagement will help you, will be an asset for you to your background to apply for these programs and get full scholarships. Yeah, thank you for the question. We cannot hear you.
I was saying that it was really cool to observe you. I saw your stories and was kind of impressed. Yes, and here is the question from one of our administrators. What are the lessons learned based on your experience in civic engagement? And I guess it's the last question.
Mm-hmm. Thank
Yes.
you for the question. Let me actually think. I would say for the experience in civic engagement, it matters where you are. As I mentioned about our basketball for all, like, search for the venue has been challenging. And I would say develop your soft skills, know what you're doing, and be empathetic about your idea. Be passionate about your idea and of change, and not only be passionate and like do little change. It might be on your head, and I'm not like offending you just because you're like too dreaming about your idea, but please use like instruments like needs assessment, or use instruments for the sustainability of the project. Um, and what I have learned in my civic engagement activities plus observance from other civic engagement activities and projects is that a lot of them miss the needs assessment, doing the project just because they want, or that they think it's right, or doing the projects not sustainably, because it could be like 3-day workshop and then it stops. It's very not beneficial to donors, not beneficial to you, not beneficial to your audience. So please think about the needs assessment. What do they need? And it's the first question because the audience might not know about the needs. The second is that you need to think about the sustainability. How are you going to make it sustainable? Your project, your idea, your civic engagement activity. Will you have another project coordinator? Will you have other people who are going to continue in the rural area of Naren? Or will you have other idea of implementing additional projects in the same community? So please think about this. Please think about, are you really passionate about this thing, or you're doing for your personal benefit just to pass to TFAS program, right? uh, yeah, please be passionate. Please bring the change to your local society so that we could all improve. And that would be my finalizing word for this presentation. Thank you all.
Thank you, Aidin. And before we will end our session, let me remind about Youth Council. So at the end, I want to say that Youth Council was in 2016 with the U.S. Embassy in the Kyrgyz Republic collaboration. So the American University of Central Asia has created a dynamic C5+1 Youth Council that brings together young leaders from Central Asia and Afghanistan with diverse backgrounds, leadership skills, and mindsets for the positive change. And since January of last year, C5+1 Youth Council has been administered by the American Councils for International Education in Kyrgyzstan. And the goal of the C5+1 Youth Council is to increase connectivity and foster leadership skills for young students through engagement on issues relevant to Central Asia and Afghanistan. And C5+1 Youth Council is a diverse group we're from all over the Central Asian countries and Afghanistan, currently having network within 96 YC alumni and 67 YC members. So that was the end, and can we proceed with your final recommendation before we will stop the session? How was the life?
Yeah, thank you for having me. As I said, please know your passion, know what the like what kind of problem are you passionate the most about, and think who could be your partners or who could be your team of people who will be solving this problem together, which unconsciously will be the part of your career development. I'm not pushing the agenda that like your social civic engagement activity would be like an asset for you, like firstly, but like please be passionate about what you're doing in your local society, wherever you are. And then second, unconsciously or like yeah, regardless of what you're doing, it will be an asset for you, for your background, to pass to different programs just because you are a life-changing leader in the society. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aidin. That was nice to have you today. And dear audience, we would like to encourage you to follow our SM pages on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Thank you for joining and supporting us. So, see you.
Bye.